So when we multiply two fractions, like it says here, okay, we simply multiply the numerators together, multiply the denominators together. And usually it's taught that you multiply the numerators and the denominators and then you reduce after. I would like you to get into the habit of reducing first, which seems like you guys did do in previous grades. Okay, so how do you reduce first is, can I take any numerator, doesn't matter where it is, with a denominator and treat it like a fraction I can reduce? So can I take the 7 and reduce it with something down here? No. Obviously, we can't reduce a 1 because that's fully reduced. So this thing is not going to be able to be reduced, even after you multiply. So we simply do 7 times 1 over 9 times 4, and we're done. Okay? However, the second one, you can. Remember, you can't do numerators together. You can't do denominators together. It's got to be a numerator and denominator, and they don't have to be in the same fraction because we're multiplying. So can I take a pair? Which pair? And divide each of them by to get 1 and 2, right? So that pair's done. Can I take another pair? 3 and 9, I can divide each by to get. So I've replaced the original numbers, the numerators and denominators, with these new ones after reducing. And now, if we reduce everything correctly, we don't have to worry about reducing afterwards. So 2 times 1 is 2, over 3 times 1 is 3, and that is fully reduced. Okay? I do want you to get into that habit. It's still right if you did 24 over 36 and then you reduced it down to 2/3 after. It's still right. And I wouldn't mark that wrong. Okay? But I do want you to get into this habit because we're going to be dealing with fractions in algebra, and knowing how to reduce is going to be really helpful. So if you get into the habit now, it'll make that time a lot easier. How about this one? What do I do when I multiply a whole number by a fraction? From me? Toss a 1 under that 5, and then I can multiply the 2 together. Yeah.
Like so 1 and
1 and 3. And then I simply, now that everything's been fully reduced, I get 7 over 3, and I don't need to worry about changing. Okay? Good. Here we have 2 improper fractions. Can I take a pair and reduce? No. So after multiplication, I get.
wait. Oh wait. 121 over 50. Whoa, wait, never mind.
Yeah. 121 over 50. Good. Okay. Dividing fractions, we should be familiar with. Well, to divide fractions, we change it to a multiplication question, which you should all be familiar with. Yes, Roman?
I'm stealing this from Ava because she taught us this, but keep the first fraction, change the symbol, and then flip this.
So 5/8 times, and what do we call that when we do go from here to here? We're taking the, what's that word? When we flip a fraction. Begins with an R. Reciprocal. Reciprocal. Yeah, good job. Now, so were you guys actually taught why you do that? Okay. Yay, Izzy's here. Like, here's why we do it. Think of it this way. Let's write the division in a different way. Okay, that means the same thing. It's just we're using a different symbol for division. Okay? If I can get this to 1, well, if I can get a denominator of 1, I don't have to write the denominator. What could I multiply this by so that the answer is 1? Well, this. The reciprocal. Because these cancel out to 1, and these cancel out to 1. And whatever you do to the bottom of a fraction, you guys have learned, you got to do the same thing to the top. So what are you going to multiply the top by? The reciprocal as well. And then we can do a little reducing. And we get 11 over 16 over 1, but I don't have to write the over 1. That's why we do it. Okay? It's not just sort of pulled out of thin air. There is a reason, a mathematical reason for why we can multiply by the reciprocal. And I just answered the question. So we can reduce the pair 5 and 10 for 1 and 2, and then we multiply the numerators and denominators, and we get 11 over 16. Okay? I always like to try and explain why something happens rather than just like, here's how you do it, now go ahead and do it. Who cares if you don't understand it? This is just how you do it. That's not really. It's not really great. How about this one? Well, just like we did with multiplication, what do we want to do with that 4? Change it to a 1 or toss it over a 1. So it becomes 4 over 1 divided 5 over 6. Now we're ready to change it to multiplication. So times 6 over 5. Look for a pair that you can reduce at. So we simply multiply the numerators, denominators. We don't have to change it to a mixed number. We're done. Okay. And then this one just involves 2 improper fractions, so we're still doing the same way. What's this going to look like as a multiplication statement? Yep. Look for reducing. 22 and 4 can reduce down to 2 and 11 because they can both be divided by 2. Can't do any more reducing, so multiply and get. Good. Okay. We're done. And just to wrap this up, just a couple of word problems. Olivia took out some glasses and juice from a pitcher. The capacity of each glass is 3/10 of a liter. If there was enough juice for 6 glasses, how much juice was there? How would we find this? Multiplication or division? Multiplication. Because if each glass is 3/10, I want to find 6 of them. So 3/10 times 6. Or in other words, 3/10 times 6 over 1. Next, reduce. 6 and 10 go down to 3 and 5. Multiply.
9 and 5.
You don't have to write a full sentence, but just make sure you put some sort of units. Okay? So it's almost 2 liters. Oh, geez. Okay. Last one. Baker is making croissants. She has 18 pounds of dough. Each croissant is made from 1/8 of a pound of dough. How many croissants can she make? How would we do this? And you got to make sure you get the order of division right. So she's got 18 pounds and she's trying to find how many 1/8 are in 18 pounds, right? So what would I do?
18 divided by 1/8.
18 divided by 1. That will tell me how many croissants. And because we got a whole number, toss it over 1. Change it to a multiplication question, and we get 18 over 1 times 8 over 1. Can't do any reducing. So we get 18 times 8. 144 over 1. Is this the way to show your answer? No. If you have an answer that's over 1, change it to a whole number. Okay? Don't leave it, because we never say, you know, like, I've got 5 over 1 pencils in over there, because that sounds a little ridiculous. So 144 was counts. Okay. Okay, so that takes care of the review. Those are the main things you'll want to know as the next unit we start moving